Welcome to week number 6 of our class on leadership. We are starting the second half of this course, and so very soon we will reach the end. Today, like I did in the previous weeks, I will introduce and summarize for you some chapters of your book. Particularly today, I look into chapters 9, 10, and 11. There are quite interesting and somehow complicated chapters, particularly chapter 9, because chapter 9 is about motivation, satisfaction, performance, things and terms that you already met probably in your studies, but that today we look in the context of leadership, and is an interesting story. Then let's see chapter 10, which is equally interested, is about groups, teams, and the leadership of groups and teams. So it's interesting. It's a little bit more easy than chapter 9. And then there is a chapter that I personally found quite interesting, which is chapter 11, which are the skills for a leader for helping others to develop. So basically, the skills that allow the leader to develop other people, to improve the ability and the performance of other people. So the idea now is to start from with chapter 9, which in my opinion could be easily divided in 2 chapters, because you will see is quite an important complex chapter. So the idea behind chapter 9 is this. So I remember you the title to make it simple. So it's motivation, satisfaction, and performance. So the idea is, if you are a leader and you are able to motivate your people, makes these people satisfied, they will increase their performance. Basically, this is the topic of the chapter. Of course, you will see is much more complicated than that, but of course, this is the core of the thing. So once again, there is a kind of relationship, according to your book, between leadership, job satisfaction, and performance. So basically, it works this way. You are a leader, you are motivating your people. The people are satisfied because they are doing a job they like, and so because they are satisfied, they have a performance, and this performance is not only an individual performance, but is a group of team performance, as we will see in chapter 10. And of course, that means that the improvement of the situation of the organization. So what is exactly motivation? Because your book mentioned motivation. So what is motivation? So motivation, according to your book, is whatever it provides direction. So basically, motivation is the way to make sure that the people pursue the direction that the leader considers important. So let's say I'm a leader. I think my team needs to end successfully the task, and so I'm motivating my team. It means that I make them persistent in the direction we are taking. Job, um, job satisfaction is not very much about how hard somebody works or how well somebody works, but it's more a kind of the feelings that somebody has about his or her own job. So if I'm satisfied of my job, not if the job is satisfied of me, the organization is satisfied of me. So job satisfaction is how much I'm satisfied in what I'm doing, how happy I am to come to work. And finally, performance is something to do with, is the idea that the, 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 the performance has to be effective, which basically means it must be at the level that is maximally possible to reach. A performance is the way to basically reach a certain level of effectiveness. So at the end of the day, the inadequate level of motivation is important to make sure that people reach an effective performance, but it's not enough because, of course, other things enter in the equation, including the job satisfaction. This is basically the theory behind chapter 9. And so let's start with motivation. And of course, one of the most important things is what exactly can be used to influence and to motivate people. And your book called the people that works around the leader, the followers. So there is the leader who leads and the followers. So what exactly can be used to motivate the followers? So, and the idea is, well, if a leader knows several theories about how to motivate people, of course, the leader can use different theories in different situations in order to have a high level of performance from these people as a result. And so now we are going to introduce a few theories. Probably the most important of this theory is called Maslow hierarchy of needs, which is very well known, and I'm absolutely sure you already know. It works basically this way. Let's say that I am homeless, and so my prior need is to find a place to eat. So let's say I found somebody, benefactor, that is giving me food 3 times a day. Well, at this point, the problem is to have a roof above my head. And so let's say at this point, I have another benefactor that gives me a small room and so where I can sleep and, and be safe and quiet. And of course, I still receive 3 meals a day. Now, I start thinking that maybe I need to dress, to change my clothes. And so this is what I want. And then I probably need a shower in the room or close to the room so it can have they can take care of me. And then at this point, I need to have the money to go to the barber because I need to cut my hair. And then, of course, I need a bicycle because I need to move from one place to another. For example, I need to go to DIY to have my ID. And so basically the idea is that there is a hierarchy of needs according to which every time you are satisfied one need, there is immediately some other need above the one you satisfy that is there to be satisfied as well. And basically the hierarchy, of course, has different grounds, but we can easily say that the grounds are infinite. There is always something that we need. If we have no money, we want money. If we have money, we want to be rich. If we are rich, we want to be spiritual, and so on. So this is the Maslow theory, because it's very useful. Because, of course, imagine that you are a leader, and so you start saying to your followers, "Don't worry, we don't fire you." And then, of course, this works for a while, and then they know they are not fired. And so you have to start with something else. And maybe the next level is to say, well, I will allow you to stay home on Friday and work from home. Okay, it's fine. And then also after a period of time when this need has been satisfied, you say, well, now I will increase your salary. And so that is basically how the theory works. How the theory, the Maslow hierarchy of needs can be used in order to produce motivation. And your book also explained that, of course, there are different, for example, there are different personalities. And so with different personalities, of course, there are different motivations. There are people that are more motivated by money, other from self gratification, and so on. So basically, the motivation strategy can be framed according to, again, the personality. Another thing is, well, we said that that if you are motivating the people perform better. But is the line can be made the opposite. So basically, what if I use performance to produce motivation? And that is the topic of this goal setting. So for some people, to have a high bar setting is very motivating. And for other people to have more safe goals. Safe means more easy to reach. Goals is more motivating. So there are different options here. Of course, one of the strongest way to motivate is to provide the rewards and punishment. This is what you have to do. If you reach this goal, I give you more money. If you don't, I will fire you. That is how it works. It's very strong. It's very clear. Of course, there are laws that limit the possibility to do these things, but in general, in theory, is the idea. And so here, the idea is to use the punishment and the reward as a way to produce motivation. Another way, so we already saw the Maslow's way, setting the goals, punishment and reward. So there are different, there are different ways, the different personalities. But another way is empowerment. So empowerment is the idea that the people feel empowered. They think they receive more power. They have more power in their hand. And so one way to motivate people is to give them power. That's simple. And so power can be done by decentralization. So I have all the power and my free followers have no power. And I release part of my power to the free followers so that power is no more on my side, but is actually in their hands. And because they have the power, they feel motivated. So as we see, there are different theories that a leader can use according to the situation in order to motivate people. This time, now time to move to another topic, which is satisfaction. So you remember we said the motivation is the employees feeling about the job, not the other way around. And so, of course, to be satisfied, to be happy to be at work, or to go to work, is not an easy task. There are people that feel the duty to go to work. There are people that have no problem to go to work. There are people that need to go to work for financial reason. But to be satisfied to be at work is not an easy achievement. So your book talks correctly about the cost of the dissatisfaction. So the fact that people go to work, but their productivity is low, the fact that people go to work, but they are not happy, they spend time doing other things, they are late, they claim and pretend to be sick, not to go to work, they spend time doing stuff that have nothing to do with work, and so on. This is a huge cost for the company. There are different ways to measure satisfaction. One is called global satisfaction. It means my total satisfaction or dissatisfaction with my job, all included. The faced satisfaction is the satisfaction I have with the different dimensions of the different aspects of my job. For example, I'm very satisfied for my salary, but I hate the people at work. Or I am absolutely happy to go to work because I have fantastic colleagues, but I hate the fact that I have to drive for an hour to reach the office. So these are the different kind of satisfaction. And there are also, in this case, we have the case of satisfaction. We have different theories about how to manage this idea of motivation. So one theory is called Hesberg's two-factor theory, because the guy who invented this theory is called Hesberg. And he realized that actually people can be, it's not true that people are motivated and they are satisfied or dissatisfied by the same factors. Actually realize that there is the reasons why, list of reasons why people can be motivated, and there are another list of elements that makes people demotivated. And basically these are the two factors. So the theory is that there is on one side something that can be done to increase the motivation, and something that can be done to decrease the demotivation. I'll just give you an example. So give responsibility to somebody is a way to increase the motivation. To increase the working conditions is a way to reduce the demotivation. So this is basically how the theory works. It's an old theory. I think it's been around for, I think, 50 years, even more. So another theory is called affectivity. and is based on the idea of personality. It works this way, and try to make it simple. If you hire happy people with a positive attitude about problems, when these people will find themselves in negative circumstances, they will reacting positively. This is the idea. Um, Another theory is is based on the fact that you treat people fairly. So basically, that you make sure that the organization is managed fairly, and basically that there is justice inside the organization. Sometimes I smile about this idea because every organization should be organized and managed fairly, and every individual should be uh, um, um, managed fairly. The fact that if you manage fairly and with justly, an organization makes the people motivated is probably a signal of how, in reality, the organizations are managed unfairly, so if I can say that. Anyway, this is another theory. So this was the chapter 9. As you see, is quite complex, but at the end is based on two ideas. If I motivate and I can use different theories of motivation to motivate my team, my people. And on this other side, I can manage the job satisfaction of my people. Together, these elements might help me to make their performance effective. So now let's move to chapter 10. So chapter 10 is about groups and teams. So the very preliminary things to do is to define what is the difference between a group and a team. So a group is a group of people, let's say 2 or more people, who are interacting with each other in a way that there is a conversation and people can influence each other. Is a normal thing. Imagine, for example, that you are working in a company and and suddenly somebody says, "Hey, do you want to take a coffee?" Yes, let's take a coffee. So 4 people go to take a coffee all together and just start talking about the different things at work. And of course, whatever they say, the way they say it, can influence each other because they share information and so on. So the size of a group can be small, can be larger. There is a moment in which the group is forming, and there are, formal kind of discussion, and then of course it becomes a more informal group, and the conversation become more informal because people know better each other. There can be a moment of storming, as your book says. There's a moment in which there is conflict, and then after the conflict, there is the normalization, basically. The fact that at this point, the members of the group know each other, and they can basically find a way to coexist. In a group, not everybody has the same role, even if the group is informal. There is maybe a leader of the group, there is a followers of the group, there are members of the group that are more recognized for something. For example, I suggest we can go to that restaurant and everybody follow my advice because they know I'm an expert in food. Or maybe somebody says, I heard that the CEO will be will be fired and a new CEO will come, and everybody's listening to me because I have a reputation of access very good information. And then, of course, there are some norms, rules. Sometimes the rules are formal, but most of the times the rules are informal, which basically means that the group is coming together and establish some kind of rules that maybe are never explicit, but they are followed by all the members of the group. And of course, like any group, the group can exist, it can terminate, it can increase, it can decrease, it can have more people coming in, it can have people more, less people, more people coming out, and so on. The team is the same of the group, with a difference that the team has a task. So if I have 3 or 4 colleagues and I go having a coffee together, there is no task there other than spending some time together. But a team is a group with a task. So the team has to do something. And because of that, it's a more complicated kind of animal. So in this team, of course, the team example can be established because there is a project to make. And so there are also in this case, there are norms and there is different roles. But this time, the norms and the rules and so on, and the different roles and so on, have been established maybe that by the company itself. Sometimes not, because the company says, well, you 4 people come together and become a team, which basically means that the 4 people has to find a way to establish a leader, define the roles of a single person, define the rules of engagement of the people, and so on and so on. So the main difference again is that there is a task. Now, if the team has a task, there is an output. And so somehow the team has to come together, define a process, and have a goal, setting a goal, and deliver this result. It's only when the result has been delivered that there is the end of the team. Actually, it can be also be, the end of the team can also be earlier because the team is unsuccessful for other reasons that I will address immediately. But the point is there is an output to deliver, and that is the most important thing. For example, the output can be defined by the company that says you are a team and I don't care how, but you have to produce this output. Or the team can come with a suggestion and say, hey, we studied the problem and we think the problem can be solved in this way with this kind of result. Now, the way in which the team operates is there are a kind of a series of elements. First of all, the team, the members of the team, some kind of resources. We said the roles inside the team, the authority that somebody receives, so that the leader is not only the leader because the people say that, but he has or she has the authority to do certain things, to exercise power. Then, of course, we have to make sure that there is a goal, so what is must be delivered, and then there is a plan, which is the plan that allowed the team to produce the result. Then along the process, of course, things might happen, like there are problems, the goal must be changed, and so on. But at the at the end, the output is produced. To do that, of course, is not sufficient that the team is together. The team must be happy. The people in the team must be satisfied. They should have the skill to create the output, but not only to create the output, but also to design the way, the process in which the team can eventually reach the output. There are a few things in your book that enter a little bit into this process. I'll give you an example. For example, if something happened during the process, and we realize as a team that what we are doing is not driving us in the right direction, some correction needs to be done. And so there is a phase of diagnosis of what we are doing, and to understand what is wrong. Or maybe is the people inside the team that are unsatisfied, dissatisfied, and they are not producing what they are supposed to. And the role of a leader in the team is very important, because the team manager needs to maintain the direction, and of course make sure that the plan is moving in the way it's supposed to be, that the people are satisfied, and the delivery is in front of him and possible. All these discussions about the teams consider the idea that the people are physically together. But of course, there's also the possibility of virtual teams. And of course, there are the pro and cons. The pro, of course, that teams can be made of people from all over the place, and so there are not constraints related to geography. On the other side, to manage a team with only virtual is for the leader more difficult, because there are the lack of interpersonal relationship decrease the possible influence of the leader on the followers. So this was chapter 10, basically the group, the team, what the leader can do for the team. Now we move to chapter 11, which is, as I said, interesting chapter, because he basically says, if you have a group of people, it's not only that you try to get from these people, but you also try to give to these people and to help developing others. That is basically the idea, to grow these people, to empower these people, to make these people grow, developing. This is basically the idea behind chapter 11. So the best way to developing other people is to give them some goals. And as your book says, the most important is that these goals must be very specific, and observable means measurable. For example, I want you to do better next year. Well, this is not a specific goal, but I want you to increase of 3% your sales. That is very clear. At the same time, we can say that the goal for the next year is plus 15%, which is very challenging. But if it's challenging but not possible, of course, is not developing people. Actually, is developing depression in people. So the goal must be challenging but reachable. And that is the difference between a leader and non-leader. A leader is able to address and identify exactly this kind of goal. And of course, to reach this goal, we need commitment. And not only commitment of the guy who actually has to reach that goal, but also to the leader who is providing this kind of goal. I'll give an example. So let's say you try to increase 3% your sales, but after 3 months, if you see that you are in trouble, come back to me and talk to me so that maybe I can help you. And so whenever the goal has been reached or not, a kind of feedback must be done, must be offered. So I saw that you didn't reach 3%, you only reached 2%. Let's talk about that. And these feedbacks must be constructive. It means basically that they must be honest and must be helpful. So and it must be specific. So I understand you didn't reach 3%. Probably that is due because of many things. I think in particular because you didn't try that. Maybe next year you can try that. So that is the kind of feedback that is important. Do you remember last chapter we talked about teams? But what we didn't talk about is how we can build a team. And so in chapter 11, there is this idea of team building. For example, to do a workshop to build the team. So basically the idea that you can build a team not only informally, asking for people to come together, but you can intervene in the construction of the team with workshop, with training, and other things. And of course, there is a model called the rocket model that is a model, actually a technique, to create building high performance teams. Called the rocket model because the idea is that to build a team is like to build a rocket. So you start with a mission, you identify the talents, you set some norms, you give power, and then you will have results. Not only that, because there are other two elements that are necessary to build this. One is called buy-in. It means that the people are in the sense, not in the sense they are part of a team, but in the sense that they agree and share the rules, the goal, the motivations, and so on. That is what it is. And it's not simple because most of the time people, if they have problems, if they have resistance, they don't show this resistance. Actually, they say, no, everything is fine. And so to display an eventual unsatisfaction or disagreement and convince these people actually to reach a kind of agreement is important. The last element is the morale. The morale is important because at the beginning of the process, all the members of the team are very happy to be in the team and everything. And then there is always some problem, some conflict, and because of that, to be part of the team is not funny anymore people want to leave, people start looking at other things to do. Maybe they engage with the team with a lover commitment. And so the morale is a very important element because allow the people to be focused and motivated into the team to be still satisfied of what they're doing in order that they produce a performance and of course the result is reached. Your book also talks about delegation. It basically means to give power to somebody else. And of course, there are different ideas to give power or to keep power is of course a matter of situation. If the company is decentralized, it's natural to give power. If the company is centralized on the other side, is very different. And one of the last things in this chapter is coaching. Coaching is about two people. One is the coach and one is the coach. And basically is the person who needs a one-to-one kind of training. So coaching is a person with a lot of experience training another person. In this, it's not really a training, but it's kind of a personal advisory. And so this personal advisory is exactly to develop the skills of the person who is receiving this coach. And so coaching is very personal. So as you and another person, you need to like the other person and to believe that the other person, the coach, can help you in growth. Okay, these were the chapters for today. As you notice, the first chapter, chapter 9, was more complex in motivation and satisfaction. Chapter 10, it was more easy, groups and teams. And chapter 11 is quite around the basic rounds, basically with topics, with how we develop other people, how we can build a team, how we can coach people in order to increase their skill. Oh, okay, so next week, I think we have another 2 or 3 chapters. So I will be very happy to summarize these chapters for you, to make your life basically easy.